Hey everybody, we are back, continuing our series of unboxing the pre-constructed decks from the Ashes Master Set. And today we are getting to Saria Guideman. And I don't know if that's the right way to say it. How do you say it?
Saria?
I think it's like Saria, like Maria, Saria.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go Saria, and she hosts the greatest dinner party of all time.
Yep.
She is the Phoenixborn of Lighthouse Bay. She has a battlefield of 5, a spellboard of 4, and a health of 20.
But before we go there, Zach, let's just take a break. Let's stop for a second.
Back it up.
And remember that this is only one of many unboxings, and you can find all of the other ones right here. There are links to those unboxings right there. So if you have a particularly favorite Phoenixborn, or if you need to move on through the series, this is a good way to do it. So check those out after this unboxing. Now let's get to Mrs. Guideman.
All right, let's now move forward. Let's get to the Guideman.
That's right.
Battlefield of 5, spellboard of 4, health of 20, which is a pretty beefy, solid battlefield. Spellboard's average.
It's pretty solid.
Yep, she also has some floating candles.
Yeah.
In case you need those, look at those hands. All right, Heart's Pool. As a side action, you can exhaust, spend a heart. You may draw 1 card. If you do, you may choose a target player to discard 1 card off the top of their draw pile.
It's pure efficiency. You think that when you first hear it, right? As a card player, you think that. You're like, oh, I get to draw a card, my opponent has to discard a card. Like, that's it. It's off the draw pile, so it's not like a big tempo thing. But I wonder what she's going to be trying to do over the course of the game if this is her standard ability.
Well, it's either going to be drawing cards or discarding cards, or maybe both.
That seems like it's what it is.
It is worth just recounting the fact that in Ashes, you have a 30-card deck.
That's
you start
not much.
with 5 cards in your hand. And once you're out of deck, if you have to draw a card, and you cannot, then you have to take a damage on your Phoenixborn.
Yeah, so there's some special conditions, like there's certain framework draws that trigger that, others don't. But she also has some cards that are going to play into that theme.
To force your opponent's hand.
Let's look at the back here. Let's say that's the most important part. Looks great.
Definitely.
Love
just
that.
The full art. Fernanda killing it.
Love that full art. And now let's dive in. Let's see what she's got. Zach, I'm gonna kick this off with Purge. It's a ready spell goes on your spell board. It is only exhaust to do that, to put it down. I love those kinds, or it's only a main action. I love those kinds of spells.
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything.
It's just like,
and it takes up an action for the action economy.
And now they gotta respond, it's nice. And then once it's down, you can exhaust it and spend a main action and a heart to choose a target player to discard 1 card off the top of their draw pile.
Seems good.
If it's focused once, you may pay 1 basic symbol to have the target player discard 1 additional card.
So
that gets really good.
If
2
it
cards,
is focused,
boom, boom.
that means you can use it twice.
Yep.
And so you could essentially spend 4, they're discarding 4.
And they're discarding a lot of cards. That's another opening hand right there,
That does
basically.
not last long. Because, I mean, typically your opening hand, you're going to play the whole thing on the first turn, right?
Yep.
So you can imagine 25, you spend it, you draw back up to 5, so now you're down to 20.
Now we're getting somewhere.
It's not
It's terrifying, man. It's
I also
nothing
love this
says
thematically you're at the dinner party and there's a purge.
Yeah, nothing says dinner party like Purge.
Hilarious. Right? Speaking of dinner, abundance, it's a ready spell you put on your spell board. You spend an action and a mask.
Yep.
An action, once it's in play, you can spend an action and exhaust it. All players may draw up to 2 cards.
Beautiful.
For each card they cannot draw or do not draw, deal 1 damage to their Phoenixborn.
Love it.
Woo! Focus 1, reduce the damage your Phoenixborn receives from this spell by 1.
Love it.
So good. Focus 2, reduce the damage your Phoenixborn receives from this spell by an additional 1.
Yeah.
So you can imagine you start with both of these spells, they both go on your board, and all of a sudden you're drawing a lot of cards with your side action and these 2 spells, and discarding. It does not take long for that deck to get out of funky.
And they're drawing all these cards, right? They're drawing, like, they have a hand of 10, and it's like, I'm out of dice, I can't do anything with this, and then boom, she strikes.
And one of the big things here
Discard.
is, once you see that you're playing this, and this is what they're putting into play, and they're going to be discarding cards, meditation gets risky.
Really tough. And you know what, I've been thinking about this, and I think that really she is an answer to decks that rely on a lot of high-end dice types. So like if your deck is rolling out with only the best spells and conjurations, and they take all of these highest level dice types, you find yourself having to meditate relatively often to get those dice types.
Yeah, sure.
And you can't do that against her. So in, if you're playing against people who are bringing those kinds of decks, she's a great choice to kind of punish them for meditating, or if they don't hit like their change the dice cards, then it's like, I'm in a tough spot. I can't cast my spells, but I'm also going to lose if I meditate. So it's a really, really cool balance.
And I think her, the discard strategy being viable is important for this game, because it's just having it out there, having the answer built in for any particular leniency on that kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Is very important. Like knowing that you can play against her in a tournament immediately makes you not be able to just totally rely on meditate.
So this is kind of the ultimate discard package that you're going to be able to put wherever you want for the rest of the game, as far as I know. So keep an eye out.
You got to run Hearts and Illusion.
Yep.
But that's not uncommon.
Not a hard thing. Not a hard thing.
Not a hard thing.
Let's talk about Hidden Power. This is an action spell. You discard it. It is a main action and 1 mask. And select 2 dice in your exhausted pool. Place them into your active pool on a side of your choice. Incredible.
So you spend a resource, an action, and a card to get 2 dice back on any side that you want. That's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's really strong. And it's hard. It's a lot harder to manage resources in this game. Because like, even though you're spending quite a bit to get just a little bit more back, you're still delaying that tempo, and you still now have more dice types that you can, offer threats, and you bring them back on any side. So that, that right there is almost the ability itself. I wouldn't need much more than that.
It's a hidden power.
It's a hidden power.
All right, we got Seal, not the singer. Action spell, discard it. Action, illusion, a mask, a heart. Oh man, that's actually just history in that song.
Actually, Kiss from a Rose is reasonable with all these hearts and things going around.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's your theme
Batman
song.
theme. My theme. Excellent. Anyway, Seal, you action, a mask, a heart. Choose a ready spell on a target player's spell board. Place 1 exhaustion token on the chosen spell and on each other copy of the chosen spell on that player's spell board.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Give me your first impression.
It's good. It's not insane.
Yeah.
So
I think it's good. I think it's really good.
Well, you have to discard it. If it was like a spell that did it, or a side action on like a Phoenixborn or something, you have to lock down a spell consistently. But it's sort of like, okay, so I have a Hypnotize out, right?
Yeah.
You lock it down, and then I'm like, okay, focus my Hypnotize, or whatever it might be.
That's fair. I like this one. If I'm running her, I like to have this in my opening hand, because I feel like there's a lot of strategies where you have your 5 cards that you've chosen. You very much need a sequential thing to happen. This gets played, and then I conjure this thing, and then the Gilder's out and all that. And it's like, no, you can just shut it down, shut that thing down, and then it kind of can really disrupt those opening moves and opening plays.
I think I like it as like a one-of in your deck that you can start with in your opening hand. If, in particular, you're facing Aerodal.
Yeah.
You see the Blue Jaguar spell come out, and it's just like...
no Blue Jaguar. And that can potentially win you the game right there.
100%. You just lock it up and then start making discard cards and see what happens.
I like that spell so much that my right sleeve actually is now down. I don't know how that happened. You see this?
Over here?
Yeah, it's weird.
Magic.
It's like, is he doing that on purpose? I assure you, it's not the case. Let's talk about Strange Copy. That is a main action and 2 masks. It's just a spell. When placing the spell onto your battlefield, choose a unit on an opponent's side of the board, so one that they have in play. Place status tokens on this spell equal to the chosen unit's attack value. Now, that's very important because it's considered to be an ally and has an attack and life equal to the number of status tokens on it, and a recover of 0. Alterations cannot be placed on the spell, so you can't put your root armor in.
And all this is inexhaustible.
Strange Copy. Yep. Discard this card at the end of the round.
So
really, really good, Zach. We've seen a lot of things in this game that have high attack and like low life, that are like they're very strong, but they're
like
easier to get rid of.
Or it's like, I'm gonna have a 3/3 for this.
Those kinds of things. And now all of a sudden you have life equal to attack. Those units then become way better. Imagine your favorite units that have their high attacks and then also they have that high life.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's so good.
That said, in case you're running an Iron Rhino, this would be great because you're going to run into those. Just kidding. But actually, it is good, and I think I actually really like the fact that it goes away.
Yeah,
because
it has to, right?
Well, not from like a balance perspective, from a player's perspective, because it doesn't do anything besides have life and health. So it can be a temporary slot that I can throw at you or attack a unit or your Phoenixborn or whatever, but then I open up my slot again so that I can play it.
And you open up that battlefield.
Yep.
Beautiful.
All right, next up we have Sympathy Pain. This ends up on a lot of my decks. You'll see why.
She is looking tough.
She like scratched herself.
It must have been a rough party.
Hurts. Yeah, it gets. Look at those eyes, dude. You don't want to run into her.
Yeah.
For 2 hearts, it's a discard reaction spell. Play the spell after your Phoenixborn has received damage. Deal 3 damage to a target unit or Phoenixborn.
Okay. You do some damage to me, I get to do something right back. Is that really worth 2 hearts?
Yes.
Are you sure about that? Really?
Well, it depends on the deck, but like my Mayoni deck in particular has a lot of the direct damage cards.
Yeah.
And so you kind of get to a point, I rush out, right? And like I'm hypnotizing with a snake and I'm doing 2 or 3 here, 2 or 3 there. And you get to a point where, and I have what's the doll that does the damage? Living doll?
Yeah.
So then I have the redirect, so I redirect on a living doll and do it to your Phoenixborn. But it's a trap, right? It's like, I get you down to 6 health, and then you can't attack me.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if I have Heart's Show.
No, it's very true. That's very true.
You can't.
It's a good point. I've been there. And you also
there.
keep in mind that this is a spell after your Phoenixborn has received damage. It does not dictate the source of that damage. So if you can do one of your own Phoenixborn in certain ways, like if you've discarded your stuff and then now you're taking damage, you can. So there's a lot of really good things to do with Sympathy Pain.
I also really like using it. Your opponent attacks, right? And this is a way to clear a unit on their turn.
Yeah.
So if they attack with a unit, then you can kill something else going into your turn, which can
then
just open up the board.
You can stomp on through.
Stomp.
That's a good point. It's a good
Sympathy
point.
Pain. Feel the pain.
Let's talk about the Rose Fire Dancer. It's an ally. Goes right to your battlefield. A main action, a mask, and a basic symbol. Has an attack of 3 and a life of 1. Now, what were we just talking about? These units that have these high attacks and low life. Okay, check it out there. This is really what the Rose Fire Dancer is all about. Distract, side action, exhaust it. Place 1 exhaustion token on a target unit. Now, I love this unit for a lot of reasons, the least of which is what I just read on the card. But particularly because of the balance of this thing, because it has this great threat value, a 3/1. So you have 3 attack coming in. If your opponent ever leaves themselves open, you can ping in there for 3. But the second that you use her ability, she's no longer a threat on the battlefield and instead playing a control role.
Yeah.
So very, very, I guess you can use her a lot of different ways. Very adaptable to the situation.
Yeah, this is just a great card. Being able to exhaust a unit. So strong.
And dare I say, one of the reasons that her attack is so high is because of that recurring ceremonial magic stuff. You take damage, and so it's like, well, heaven forbid it was a 1/1. You could just continue to keep bringing back in.
Now, I will say, like, the art on this, I have to mention. It's crazy.
So
the way
good,
it's fading out on our dress there. I don't even. What always impresses me on art is light.
Oh yeah,
like any sort of light. Because
light
is
so
art, hard,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at this video, right? We're trying to use the light to make ourselves look better.
It is art.
Not doing the greatest job all the time.
But like, just look at it, the like flame things. He's like spinning around. It's like, I don't even understand how to create that effect. Like you can draw a picture of like a cat, and that's fine. But when you can draw light, that's when you know you've made it.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, when you can draw light. Wow, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Every time I see a card, that's what I see. All right.
The Enchanted Violinist.
Enchanted Violinist. Ally battlefield takes an action to put into play. 1 attack, 2 life, 0 recover. She has Song of Sorrow. After a player discards 1 or more cards from their draw pile, you may spend a resource to place a wound token on a target unit.
Okay. That seems like that's going to be happening a lot. Yeah. And it's a passive ability, so it's going to continue throughout the game. That's really nice. You don't have to exhaust to use that. Everything's good here, man. And this party is popping. I mean, this is getting really, really magical. Those dancers and violinists.
But it's a poppin' party.
Here's the interesting thing to me is the dancers are dancing probably to the violinists, but they're playing a Song of Sorrow. So is it sad?
Well, if you reference the Rose Fire Dancer, the flavor text says inspiring dedication to dance and murder. So probably sorrowful.
Oh, so we're not a red wedding.
This is a sad party. Yeah, it's the whole red wedding.
All right, let's take the 7 3-eyed owl here. This is a ready spell, goes on your spell board. It simply costs the main action to put it there. Once it's there, main action, exhaust, and a single heart to place a 3-eyed owl onto the battlefield. And here's what the owl does.
His name's Tien.
Attack 1, life 2, recover is 3. Nice reference there. Memory drain of 1, so you can spend an action and exhaust the owl to choose a target player to discard 1 card of their choice from their hand.
Yep.
I mean, that's playing right to theme, right? I mean, there's nothing really going on here. She is really good at first turn disruption.
Well, I was gonna say that this really strong first turn because you can if you see an owl's gonna come out.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it's like, oh,
I'm gonna lose a card potentially.
I'm gonna lose a card unless I have a blue jaguar to focus this as it comes into play.
Yeah.
But there's answers to that.
You just gotta deal with stuff.
It's a problem.
But you do. I mean,
heaven forbid they can unfocus this thing too.
You have to put the owl out, and then it has to be safe for a turn. So you always have a chance to react. That's what I like about Ashes. You can respond to those kinds of threats.
100%. And then, of course, we get to her signature card.
It's such an interesting signature card, Zach. Like, this is such an interesting signature card because it had nothing to do with her entire theme.
It does, though. We'll get.
I mean, it does. It does.
I'm excited
of
about
all the important pieces of her discarding your deck, this really is not playing an active role.
So, okay, sure. Summon Seaside Raven. Ready spell board. Spends an action to put it into play. Action. Exhaust. 3 basic.
3 dice is a lot.
You get to place a Seaside Raven Conjuration onto your battlefield.
Okay.
So we'll get to the Raven.
Tell me.
3 attack, 2 life, 0 recover. So, pretty strong.
Yeah, it's okay.
It has battle advantage. When this unit is in battle, it inflicts its damage before other units without battle advantage inflict their damage.
Very good.
So good.
Just very good.
Can't ever.
Three attack with advantage is really strong.
Super good. And also magic guard. This unit cannot be affected by an opponent's
That's
spell.
kind of the most important thing to me. Like, you can't do anything.
You can't
to
target it. You can't exhaust it.
And it's
can't
attacking first.
do whatever. And it's like defense, offense, and just...
As a defender, this guy is terrifying. It's really, you can't really punch much of anything through with this Raven.
You gotta have
there.
like a beefed up silver snake, but that's why hypnotize exists.
Yeah, well, you know, in terms of silver snakes,
But
that's all we're talking
I
about.
love the theme of she's hosting a dinner party.
Yep.
She's fattening up her guests.
Yep.
And then she's murdering them.
Yeah.
And then the ravens are coming through and, doing the raven thing.
I never thought of it like that. I always thought this game was positive.
Yeah,
But instead, it's a commentary on American consumerism.
That said, if you weren't looking for a video on American consumerism, but instead we're looking for a video on like good acts and good deeds, check out the Jessa video.
Yeah. She's also doing a great job.
Jessa's essentially like the saint of the universe.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of like helping hurt people and like as people pass away, she's helping them.
I like how you sold that, Zach.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Check it out, Jessa's.
Well, there's Saria or Saria as,
I think it's
as
Saria,
you please.
like Maria.
So I like Saria a lot. Saria Guideman sounds nice. That's a very professional sounding name.
Sounds like a nice lady.
She's essentially running out of the box this discard game. So it's another one of those themes, those mini themes in Ashes, that is a bit bizarre the first time you play it, and certainly the first time you play against it. So a lot of lessons have to be learned when you're playing with this deck and playing against this deck. Otherwise, you're just going to come into it like that. Otherwise, you're going to leave the table saying, I don't understand this game. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. He can discard my whole deck and I just lose. This doesn't make any sense. But keep playing it, keep trying it out, and then if you need to, put answers in your deck to take care of this kind of a theme.
For sure. And a lot of times if you're a familiar card gamer or you've played a lot of card games, discarding their opponent's deck isn't normally a viable thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's normally uncommon.
It's real here.
It's totally real.
It's definitely
so
real.
beware. Buyer beware.
So there you have it, guys. We've got Ashes Weekend, our main event for Ashes happening in April. So check that out if it has not already passed.
April
And
2016.
you can always, this is a non-expiring event, you can always sign up for our Covenant subscription service and get all of your Ashes packs delivered straight to your door whenever you want, particularly when they release.
I was going to say automatically when they release, not
yeah,
so much when you
automatically when they
want,
release.
just as soon as possible.
We just assume that's when you want them.
Yeah.
So check that out, and thank you for all the support. Ashes, incredible game. We've got more unboxings, so check those out, and we will see you there.
See you guys.